I'm the last speaker of the day, so bear with me. I hope to get you through this as fast as I can. So my topic today is tissue banking resources for researchers. But firstly, I want to explain who we are. The Pacific Heart, Lung and Blood Institute, or PHLBI, is a 501c3 nonprofit research institute founded in 2002 and designated by the IRS as a medical research organization operating in conjunction with at least one hospital. And we are associated with UCLA, and we also support the Punch Worthington lab there, and we're associated with the West Los Angeles Veterans Administration. So the mission of Pacific Heart, Lung and Blood is to improve the prevention, diagnosis and treatment of heart, lung and blood diseases through independent research, collaboration and education. And you'll see here that PHLBI has been modeled on the National Institutes of Heart, Lung and Blood. And under the lung division falls the Pacific Mesothelioma Center and the Pacific Thymus Center. So the Pacific Mesothelioma Center, or PMC, is a division of PHLBI, and we have brought the symposium to you today in conjunction with UCLA, and it's a specialized center within PHLBI. It's dedicated to mesothelioma research excellence. It was established in 2009, and the mission is to find better treatments for malignant pleural mesothelioma and to improve the quality and quantity of mesothelioma patients' lives through superior educational networking and treatment options. Now, you heard earlier today from Dr. Raymond Wong, our research scientist at the PMC, and we're presently developing new mesenchymal stem-based, cell-based treatments modeled on recent clinical breakthroughs in combination immunotherapy for cancer. Mesenchymal stem cells are harvested from donated bone marrow, term placentas, umbilical cord blood, and fat tissue. As Ray explained, we have made good progress on our MSc program, and to continue with that success, we need tissue. And how and where are we going to get that? We're a small nonprofit with few resources. So how much does tissue cost? Well, this chart gives you an idea of the cost of purchasing normal, non-diseased tissue, diseased tissue, and blood plasma. So we looked at 4 labs, North Carolina, Alabama, Maryland, and California, and blood plasma ranges from $89 to $150 per specimen. Blood ranges from $110 to $535. Normal tissue ranges from $500 to $1,250, and abnormal tissue ranges from $600 to $1,250. So say, for instance, we were to purchase the lower specimen of lung tumor for $600. We require 4 different tissue types by 2 specimen types per patient. That is $4,800 per patient per week. And we're presently seeing 2 patients per week, so that would be $9,600 a week or $3,800 a month. And over a year, that would come to just under $1 million. Half a million dollars, sorry. So many of the tissue banks that are in operation rely on large amounts of external funding and may only be able to supply a limited amount of tissue to researchers. So we looked at some of the tissue banks around the world and here in the US to see how they're gathering their specimens and to see what the costs are for purchasing such specimens. One of them is Mesobank UK. It's been funded for the last 3 years by the Mick Knighton Mesothelioma Research Fund and the British Lung Foundation, and they collect archive samples of mesothelioma tissue from pathology departments, as well as samples of pleural fluid, blood and tumor from newly diagnosed mesothelioma patients in selected hospitals across the UK. We looked at their inventory, and they have enough samples in terms of total number of specimens. Their prices are approximately $330, but the amount of tissue per patient would be small, since they mostly come from biopsies. The specimens they collect from PD surgery is also small in size and number of specimens, and they share those specimens with other researchers. Another mesothelioma tissue bank is the National Mesothelioma Virtual Bank at the University of Pittsburgh. So what is a virtual bank? Well, it means it has a home on the internet and a database is accessible from the portal. The National Mesothelioma Virtual Bank, or NMVB, collects retrospective, meaning patients who have had surgery before but not consented, and perspective, meaning patients who have consented. And they get those from 4 major sites: Mount Sinai School of Medicine, New York University, University of Pennsylvania, and the University of Pittsburgh, and the bank is funded by the CDC. Now, this is really an interesting data bank. UK Biobank is the largest collection of biometric and health data in the world that allows scientists to access a vault of data on health outcomes, genotyping, and biomarkers, enabling a better understanding of a wide range of diseases that typically strike from middle age. They're sponsored by the Department of Health, the Welsh Assembly Government, the Scottish Government, the British Heart Foundation, and the Medical Research Council, to the tune of £93 million, which is approximately $120 million. So they did a study over the years from 2006 to 2010, and they looked at 500,000 men and women aged between the ages of 40 to 69. They had to answer questions on health, lifestyle and diet, memory, work and family history. They had to have non-invasive measurements of blood pressure, pulse rate, height, weight, etc. They had to give small samples of blood, saliva and urine for long-term storage and analysis, including genetic data. And they had to agree to allow their health to be followed for many years by UK Biobank directly through routine medical and other health-related records. And this built resources for anyone to use for health-related research in the public interest, for academic and commercial interest, with a general consent for follow-up through all health records and for all types of health research. So all this research and data is available to researchers for all types of health-related research that is in the interest of the public, but it's not cheap. So this slide is actually, can't really see it, is really coming out of left field. But there's a point to the slide, and that is to show you how much more precise the data is when a large group of participants do the study. So the study conducted by UK Biobank looked at the association between blood pressure and the risk of dying between the ages of 40 to 80 years old. And the random of error is bigger with a smaller study. Then they looked at 50,000 participants, and the uncertainty of where to plot the risk is narrower. So the lines here close up, and there's a clearer picture. And then they multiplied it by another tenfold and looked at 500,000 participants. So it appears that doctors weren't giving blood pressure medications to older patients because it looked as though the risk had flattened, and the random of error was driving treatment incorrectly, and that higher blood pressure was at risk regardless of age. So you can start to see a very clear association, which proves the need to have larger studies to get the precision of the association. And we want to collect as much data from as many participants as we can. So why a tissue bank at PHRBI? Well, you can see how costly and time-consuming it is to purchase specimens from other banks. We want to collect our own specimens. A tissue bank is a huge value to science and the community. And the more specimens we collect, just as we spoke about earlier with UK Biobank, the more precise our research will be. There's a national system for the donation of organs, but not a national tissue bank for the donation of tissue. We received IRB approval to create an international tissue bank, and PHRBI developed the protocols for processing specimens, storage, and tracking, with the primary objective to collect health information and tissue samples from participants who wish to donate their tissue for future research at the Pacific Heart, Lung and Blood. And we have an agreement in place with UCLA to share their tissue. And our tissue bank is the first in this country that it's not limited. We will take tissue from patients of all types and share those with others. So both normal and diseased tissue samples are collected and placed into a database maintained at PHLBI. Current and planned research projects require serum and blood cell samples from healthy participants, as well as those who've been affected with diseases of the heart, lung, and blood, including deadly cancers, mesothelioma, esophageal cancer, lung cancer, and thymoma. And we're calling this MELT. And wouldn't it be nice if we could melt away these cancers one day? Our secondary objective is to act as a clinical data and tissue repository for collaborating investigators worldwide, including other researchers of the Southern California Consortium, which is the Comprehensive Mesothelioma Center of Excellence at UCLA, headed up by Dr. Cameron, the Meso Center at PHLBI, and the Meso Center of Excellence at the West Los Angeles VA. As I've already stated, PHLBI has a collaborative research relationship with UCLA, who share specimens with us for this bank, and we're working on a way to figure out how to extend this to the West Los Angeles VA. So cardiovascular disease and cancer are the leading causes of death in the USA. It's imperative that both personal health information and tissue samples are collected from as many patients as possible in order to understand the normal biology of diseases, the natural history of diseases, outcomes from current treatments, the advantages and disadvantages of potential future novel therapies, and eligibility is anyone over 18 with or without diseases of the heart, lung, and blood are eligible, and all participants who are seen by their doctors and deemed suitable for health information and tissue sample donation. So we're collecting blood, urine, buccal swab, sputum, exhaled breath and saliva, tissue, pleural, and pericardial fluid collection. So we need participants, and we need them to review and sign our approved research consent form, and you all have a consent packet in front of you. Specimens donated are counted as in-kind donations. Participants must ask their doctor to help obtain samples of blood, urine, or saliva and ship to PHLBI overnight. And if those samples are shipped, the shipping costs are tax deductible. All participants can have their clinical data collected at our lab on Santa Monica Boulevard. And once that participant gives us that specimen, they become an associate researcher and get a button. And you all have a button in your packets. So how do we get the word out? Well, we have flyers that we distribute, and this appeal is also on our website. Our nurse practitioner will be going out to various unions to gather specimens, and we have blood banks at some of our events. So the consent form and further information is available on our website, and that address is coming up next. So let's take a look at Lin Huafeng's video on our website, appealing for donors to come forward and donate their tissue.
Hello, my name is Lin Huafeng, and I'm a nurse practitioner at the Pacific Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute in Los Angeles, California. Our scientists are actively engaged in research trying to identify new treatments for disease of the heart, lung, and blood, including the deadly cancers, lung cancer, esophageal cancer, thymoma, and mesothelioma. In order to find desperately needed new therapies, our scientists need to study the tumors, blood, urine, saliva, and other types of body tissue samples from people who have heart, lung, and blood diseases, as well as those of normal volunteers for comparison. Furthermore, in order to maximize the benefit of these studies, detailed medical information about the people providing the samples is critical. Materials and the associated medical information that I have just described are invaluable resources in the fight against these diseases and are critical if we are to make progress in finding cures. This is where we need your help. We desperately need you to donate samples of your blood, urine, saliva, and other body tissues, such as tumors that you have had removed or biopsied. By doing this, you can join our research team and become one of our associate researchers. All you have to do is send some samples of your blood, urine, saliva, and/or body tissue samples and some confidential information about your health. This can all be done easily and quickly with little or no discomfort or difficulty on your part. How can you do this? First, you must read, review, and sign our approved research subject's consent form. Then you can ask your doctor to help obtain samples of your blood, urine, and saliva. Put them in an overnight express delivery envelope and send them to us. We can provide you with detailed instructions on exactly how to do this. If you help us, you'll be helping everyone with these diseases. Being a PHLBI associate researcher, by providing these samples doesn't have to take much time, nor cost more than simply providing the shipping costs. Please give me a call. Send me an email and I will gladly explain the process to you and answer any questions you may have. Thank you for helping.
So currently PHLBI is funding the bank, and in order to control our costs, you can see our lovely students here who are sitting in the audience. We currently work with students from UCLA as well as LMU. They help us collect and process the specimens and they receive a small stipend. But as we expand, we will require additional staff, we will need additional nitrogen and additional freezer space, so we will be looking to partner with sponsors to underwrite the costs. And lastly, our key personnel, Raymond Wong, our principal investigator who's been with us since 2012 and is associated with UCLA and the VA, and our nurse coordinator, Lin Hua Feng, a nurse practitioner at UCLA, at the VA and at PHLBI. Thank you very much.